Hey everyone, welcome to Virtue Healthcare. This is our low impact cardiovascular workout. There will be no jumping in this workout, and all you'll need is a couple of dumbbells or some water bottles. Let's get started.
Let's start with a warm-up. Make your way to all fours. Extend your right leg out to the side. Keep a natural arch in your back and sit back to feel a groin stretch. Then extend your hips coming up to half kneeling. Reach down to the left to find the floor. Reach overhead with your right arm, stretching out the right side of the body. Flip it and reach your left arm overhead, side bending to stretch the left side of the body. Repeat this flow twice more on this side. Move slowly and intentionally, hanging out in each stretch for a few seconds. Doing dynamic stretches like this flow allows us to warm up for the rest of the workout. Take your time and focus on how your body is feeling. Breathe in and out with control. Let's switch sides. From all fours, extend your left leg out to the side now. If you don't feel a stretch in your left adductor or groin, your spine might be too rounded. Try tilting your pelvis anteriorly or arching slightly, or moving your left foot ahead of you a little bit more. Squeeze your glutes when you extend your hips. Keep your core engaged when you reach side to side. Inhale and exhale normally. Return to all fours for a wrist prep exercise. Stack your shoulders over your hands and hips over your knees. Spread your fingers wide and proceed to lift only your palms off the ground. Lower down slowly. Repeat lifting and lowering your palms with control. Your forearms will begin to burn as your wrist joints warm up. We like to do this warm-up exercise if we have any hand-supported exercises in the workout ahead. Transition to lying on your back with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Before lifting the hips, tuck your pelvis posteriorly. There should be no space between your lower back and the floor. Squeeze your glutes and then lift your hips off the ground. Keep your glutes squeezed as you lift and lower them from the ground. Exhale as you lift up. Inhale as you lower down. This exercise is great for warming up hip extension used in exercises later on in the workout, like squat and hinge patterns. Let's repeat our wrist warm-up. It's a good idea to perform 2 rounds of warm-up exercises, as it is common for the second round to feel better than the first, and to ensure your body is well warmed up. If you would like to make this more challenging, simply move your knees back a little while keeping your shoulders over your hands. This way, more of the weight of your body is being supported by your hands, as your legs are not supporting as much on this angle. Move back onto your back for one more round of glute bridges to warm up the muscles of the posterior chain, the glutes, the hamstrings, and the erectors. The nuanced posterior tilt to set up the position of your pelvis correctly is important since it allows you to use your glute muscles maximally. Focus on keeping your glute muscles contracted the entire time. Breathe in to lift up. Breathe out to lower down. I'll take a moment to explain how the rest of the workout will go. Feel free to grab some water as you listen before moving on. In this workout, we'll be working for 90 seconds total, during which we'll complete 3 different exercises followed by 60 seconds of rest. We will repeat those same exercises twice through before changing up the set. As for weight selection, you'll want to choose light to moderate dumbbells. During the workout, manage your heart rate so that it is in a zone where you can move continuously for 90 seconds and recover ideally in that 60-second window. By all means, if you need more rest time, feel free to pause the video at your discretion. Okay, let's get ready to start. Make your way to standing and grab your dumbbells for our first of 3 exercises. We'll be working through a dumbbell Romanian deadlift to thruster or squat to overhead for 30 seconds. Set up with your feet shoulder width apart or just slightly wider. With your dumbbells held in a suitcase position to start at your sides, hinge at the hips for a Romanian deadlift, keeping a small bend in your knees. As you stand, begin to pull your weights up to your shoulders, come into a squat, and then finish by pressing overhead as you stand strong. Set your weights aside and get ready for 30 seconds of inchworm mountain climbers. Hinge down to reach the floor. Walk your hands out into a high plank. Alternate bringing one knee towards your chest. Repeat twice on each side and then walk your hands back to your feet and roll up to stand. We've selected each exercise to work the whole body. This helps raise the heart rate, which is something we're looking to do in this workout. Great job. We have one more 30-second exercise before 1 minute of rest. Make your way back to all fours for breakdancers. Lift your knees off the ground. Support yourself actively with your shoulders, wrists, and toes. Press the floor away actively. Pivot to kick one leg to the side, moving your opposite hand out of the way and stabilizing on the other 2 limbs. Alternate kicking out to each side under control. Exhale as you kick out, inhale to transition. Now take a minute to actively slow your breathing down and grab a drink of water if you like. Let's get ready to start again with 30 seconds of the dumbbell Romanian deadlift paired with a squat to overhead press. This whole movement can also be called a dumbbell hang clean to thruster. Notice how the hinge differs from the squat. In the hinge, your hips are higher than your knees, while in the squat there is much more knee bend and your hips sit much lower. Focus on extending your hips twice in this movement, once coming up from the deadlift position and again coming up from the squat. Place your dumbbells down as we won't need them for inchworm mountain climbers. Try to minimize any side-to-side movement as you walk into and out of your plank. When in your plank, tuck your pelvis and engage your glutes slightly before bringing one knee forward. This will allow you to use your abdominals more effectively. While we aim to move swiftly, it's more important to focus on quality over quantity. Come on down to the mat for one more round of breakdancers. Keep your knees hovering close to the floor as you move. Spread your fingers wide and grip the floor to help you stabilize. Move with control and thoughtfulness. This exercise is great for developing strength, stability, coordination, and mobility. Nice work. You've completed the first set of exercises. Take 1 minute to catch your breath and hydrate. Okay, let's get ready to start our next set of exercises. We'll be performing 30 seconds of alternating shifting side lunge with a dumbbell row. Grab your dumbbells and set up in a very wide stance. Point your toes forward. Sit your hips back and bend one knee to alternate lunging into each leg. Add a dumbbell row to each lunge. Extend your hips as you transition between sides. Time your exhale with each row. This is a great full body exercise to keep your heart rate elevated. For any of these exercises, you can increase the weight or number of rounds to make it more challenging. Set one of your dumbbells aside and keep the other for 30 seconds of swings. Set up with your feet just wider than hip width. Hike your dumbbell back between your legs to give it some initial momentum. Use the power of your hips extending to give energy to your weight. Keep the arms relaxed and rope-like, but anchor your shoulders by flexing your lats throughout. Delay your next hinge until the weight almost reaches your legs. Think about absorbing or decelerating the weight with your hamstrings and glutes as the weight comes back through your legs. Keep your core engaged throughout. Next, hold your weight either in the same way or end to end for dumbbell rotation with pivot. We'll be performing 30 seconds in each direction for this one, so consider it a bonus round. Sit into one hip, keeping your hip and knee tracking with your toes that are pointed forward. Reach your weight to the outside of your hip. Allow your other leg to pivot and internally rotate. Extend your hips and bring your dumbbell up to around shoulder height on a diagonal. Absorb the energy of the weight into your one hip and use the power of your legs to initiate the upward trajectory of the dumbbell. Keep your core engaged throughout and shoulders anchored into your lats. Inhale, bringing the dumbbell down, and exhale to bring it up and across. Great job! We're ready to take a minute to actively slow your breathing rate. Hang out with some chickens, why don't you? All right, let's get ready for our last round of the workout. Grab your dumbbells and set up in your wide sumo stance for our alternating lunge and row. Hinge at the hip so your torso is angled in order to have a more effective bent over row. Track your knee with your instep of the foot of the bent leg and feel balance in your foot. Aim for equal use of your glutes and quads in each lunge. Emphasize squeezing the muscles of your upper back during each row, keeping your shoulders away from your ears. Keep one dumbbell only for 30 seconds of swings. Hold the dumbbell at one end like you see Mike doing here. You can also use a kettlebell for this if you have one. As you hinge and extend at your hips, be sure to avoid rocking back and forth on your feet. Keep both your feet planted as you work. Anchor your shoulders by engaging your lats, but if you feel your arms tense up, relax them. They are an extension of the weight you're holding. Time your exhales to occur when you extend your hips and your dumbbell comes forward. We've come to our last exercise, the dumbbell rotation with pivot. We try our best to incorporate exercises in the frontal or side-to-side plane of motion, as well as the transverse or rotational plane of motion, to vary our movement patterns from the sagittal or up and down and forward and backward plane of motion that we typically operate in every day. This is important for maintaining athleticism and access to these planes of motion. Remember to breathe and engage your core throughout this exercise. Inhale as you load down into your hip, and exhale as you extend and follow through. This is an example of an exercise that is in the transverse plane. We want to emphasize decelerating and accelerating momentum at the hip, as we want to avoid twisting into the knees or spine. Finish your last rep and then pat yourself on the back for a job well done.
Thank you for joining our low-impact cardio workout. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and feel free to share with any friends or family. Join the Virtue community by subscribing to the channel, where we'll be posting weekly videos. If you'd like to work with us in person, we have many virtual offerings on our website, which we'll have linked in the description below. See you soon.